Look around you. Nothing exists by itself. Not objects, not people, not moments. Everything you see only exists because of everything else. Across cultures, across time, humans have searched for ways to understand a world that does not exist in pieces, but as a whole. In Buddhist thought, there is an image called Indra's net. An infinite web stretches across the universe. At every point, a jewel, and in each jewel, the whole universe is reflected endlessly. Nothing stands alone. It only appears that way. Everything that exists depends on everything else. Not just in distant philosophy, but here, in the world we move through every day. Look closely at Islamic geometric patterns. They repeat, expand, interlock. No single point dominates. No edge contains them. The pattern suggests something beyond itself, a structure that could continue forever. Not a picture of the world, but a reflection of how the world might be ordered. A universe without a center, a system of relationships, where each part only makes sense because of every other part. In the desert of Peru, the Nazca Lines stretch across the earth. Lines, shapes, figures, so large they cannot be fully seen from the ground. From below, they are fragments, but from above, they resolve into something whole. A hummingbird, a monkey, a vast design. Meaning changes with perspective. What you see depends on where you stand. What seems isolated may only be incomplete. In the Great Salt Lake, Robert Smithson built Spiral Jetty. A spiral of rock extending into the water, but the work does not stay the same. Water rises, water falls, salt gathers, crystals form. Sometimes it disappears, sometimes it returns. The artwork is not fixed. It exists within a system, environment, time, change. It's not separate from the world. It's made by it. It cannot exist without it. In the Great Wave, water rises in a moment of tension. Boats strain beneath it. Mount Fuji rests in the distance. These are not separate things. The wave, the wind, the people, all caught in the same force. A single instant, shaped by pressures larger than any one part. In Starry Night, the sky does not sit still. It moves, it swirls, it pulses with energy. The village below and the cosmos above are not separate realms. They are part of the same movement. Not frozen objects, but a world in motion. Not separate images, but glimpses of a world in motion. Today we describe the world differently. We speak of systems, of networks. A single action can ripple outward far beyond what we can see. We are not discovering something new. We are recognizing what was always there. What this ancient image had already seen. Even our feelings do not exist alone. What we feel has been felt before and will be felt again. Indra's net is not a diagram, it's a way of seeing, a reminder that nothing exists in isolation. Every object, every person, every moment reflects something beyond itself and is reflected in return. If nothing stands alone, then meaning is not contained within a single image or a single life. It emerges through relationship, through connection, through the space between things. Art does not just show us objects. It helps us see the relationships that hold everything together. If the cave hand said, "I was here," and if art that communicates says, "This happened," and if art of identity says, "This is who I am," then this asks something even larger. What if nothing stands alone? What if every image, every action, every life is part of something greater than we can fully see? Because art does not only reflect the world, it reveals the connections that make the world possible. And once you begin to see that, it becomes harder to believe that anything you do does not matter, because nothing you do ever exists alone. And if that's true, then the question changes. Not just who we are, not just what has happened, but what we place above ourselves, what we follow, what we believe. Because in each small moment, the whole universe is already there.